children activities, film video rental, which we've done, various expos and conferences, the racing, of course, park events with the new park, and even erect a small museum hailing its 100-year-old and racing history. People would come to see that. So thank you.
Thank you, Council, for hearing us tonight. We really appreciate your time. I'm Larry Weekly. I live at 517 Camden Drive, District 17, 37211. I've lived there 56 years. I've been going to Fairground Speedway for 50 years and worked there from selling Cokes to track announcer for 8 years, general manager 1 year. I can't say enough about the people that I've met through the years, done the race, NASCAR race radio for the last 8 years, have interviewed some of the greatest drivers in NASCAR and local racing. And from the sports people that write about racing, the Fairground Speedways is the greatest short track in America. I hope you understand what I'm saying. Out of all the racetracks around the country, that we go to, short tracks combined, the Fairground Speedways is the #1 short track in America, the greatest short track in America. It's produced the greatest drivers in NASCAR. Everybody that wants to be a driver wants to make sure that they race there because of the facilities is incredible. And if you want to sit here and talk about an eyesore, get on an airplane, if the mayor will put that in the budget, around the country, check some of these racetracks out, these short tracks, and then you come back to Nashville and you sit down and you tell me that's an eyesore. It's a beautiful facility. I've never heard of anybody in business, if Metro owns the facility, why is the leaseholders having to put the money back into something that the city owns? It's totally ridiculous. I've never heard of anything like that in my life. And I know when I was GM and our president, Danny, was here, we spent our own money, and we got less than a year a lease. It's going to take somebody with a 10-year, 15-year lease to go in there, and if you allow that to happen, they can spend the money to make it a great place. The racing community did not run NASCAR out of this city. The city done it. The Fair Board done it to us themselves. So we thrown. I know the people in the yellow shirts want to sit back and say that we done it. We ran NASCAR out. That's untrue. NASCAR's been here since 1958, and if we can get that racetrack back, if y'all will vote for that and let us. We get the money to put into it, which we have the photo here, the beautiful site that it can be. It can be a nice hotel down there, renovated. It'll be such a beautiful place. It will bring a lot of money into the city, just like Pensacola, Florida does every year. We can do the same thing. If you look at Bristol Speedway, the same thing happened there that can happen in Nashville. All we're asking for is a chance. Give all our great racers, their family, these flea market people that are looking to make an income, a chance to do what we need to do. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to come out here. My name is Sam Giberson, and I live at 112 Sturton Road. That's 37210. And I don't know what they was talking about with the noise and camp barbecue and that. Anybody that's in this room, if they want to have a barbecue, no matter what's going on, they're going to have one. And now, I ain't lived here all my life. I wasn't born and raised here. I don't have a history like these drivers and racers do. But I do have a passion for racing. And if this track is torn down, I'm not going to have a history that I can tell my kids, other than the last 5 short years that I've had, being down there on pit road, working on race cars, helping other teams out that I've never met before, building relationships with people that I never would have met without a track. And that's about all I got to say tonight. I hope y'all make the right choice and vote to keep this track. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the council. Thank you for letting us talk. I was born and raised here in Nashville. I'm Shannon McCullough. I live on 405 Merritt Avenue. That's 37203 in the district. I am a race car fan. You're going to see us characterized as ignorant, backward thinking, afraid to change. That's not so. There are so many businesses in Tennessee, not just in Nashville, not just in this area, that depend on racing. They depend on racers crashing so that they can rebuild the cars. They depend on this. If you go down to the, the automotive place down on Gallatin Road, the Diesel College, I'm sorry. Half of their students want to be able to work on race cars. There's a lot of talk about the noise. Well, I'm sorry, I love the sound of a good race car. When it's tuned up and ready to go, I love it, and I live there, so it puts me to sleep. There's, there are railroad tracks that run right through my neighborhood, so I'm right in between the racetrack and the railroad. Nobody says anything about the railroad. They're not going to move those railroad tracks, and they've been there, just as long as the racetrack. So, I mean, it's all in one's perspective, the best use for that land. I mean, look at the Parthenon. If you go back in the history, they had to redo the whole Parthenon because it wasn't built well the first time. And look at it now. Well, somebody might come and say, well, that's not the best use for that land. It's a park, and it's right in the middle of downtown, so go build your skyscraper there. I mean, it's all in one's perspective, and my perspective is that I like the racetrack, I like the fairgrounds, and I'm not opposed to change. Make it better. Don't tear it down, make it better. Thank you.
I would ask everyone to please give your complete address. Several of the council members are writing the information down. If you could give your street, your city, and your zip code.
Hello, and thank you for your time. I'm Lee Vervort, 366 Hester Avenue, 37210. And I live within walking distance of the fairgrounds, and I do hear the noise from the race cars. It does not bother me one bit. That tells me that people are having a good time, enjoying each other's company, and doing what they love. There's also a railroad track next to my house about 200 feet away. I hear that every single day and night. It doesn't bother me because those guys are hard at work. Someone had mentioned the tourism factor in all of this, and that's true. If you take away the fairgrounds and the racetrack, you're going to affect the tourism too. They spend money not only there at they spend money at the hotels, restaurants, gas stations. They go shopping all over town. So if you take this away, you're taking away part of the tourism too, and that's an important factor for the revenue in this town. Thank you.
How y'all doing? My name is Vincent Madden, 1702 Stewart Place, Nashville, Tennessee, 37203. I've been at Fairgrounds for 30 years, and I've lived in that neighborhood for over 30 years, and the town has never bothered my family or anybody else around us. That fairgrounds has made history for people who's moved up and became famous stars. I'm going to tell you my story. I started there when I was 14 years old, selling popcorn, peanuts, whatever I could sell, souvenirs, just so I could be in that racetrack to watch a race. I got old enough I could drive. I started driving down there. I started crew chiefing and helping other people, to where it finally got me up to where I became a NASCAR official, and I travel for NASCAR now. So that track has made me move up just like it has drivers. I do all kinds of NASCAR things. And just to let you know how much I believe in that track, I take out of my busy time this year and came down and worked for that track for free. I charged them nothing to help them because I believe in that track, and it needs to be stay there so the young kids will not be out on the street racing. They will be in that racetrack learning how to drive and become NASCAR stars. And I thank you very much for listening to me.
My name is Neil Chapin. I live at 2173 Granny Wright Lane, 37076. They've asked me to close this out tonight because you people know how we feel. We've had over 2,000 people show up tonight to tell you that we want to keep our racetrack. We also want to keep the flea market, and we want to keep the fairgrounds. We want to improve it. We put a plan forward to improve the fairgrounds that will work. We're asking you to consider this, give us a amount of time to put the walls up, to put the sound barriers up, to make sure that we do what we say we can do. Now, the fault of this does not necessarily lie with the racers. It lies with the fair board. The fair boards can put any kind of rules on racing they want to put in. If it puts out too much noise, they don't have to let them race. We know that. Now, I also want to say one other thing. When you tear down, if you tear down the fairgrounds, the raceway, it becomes floodplain property. All it becomes is a park. Now, a park's got a really sweet sound if you say it, but it also costs a lot of money to keep a park up. But other than that, let's just talk about it just a minute. Nothing else can be built there. So the racetrack is the best use for the property that it sits on. And as you know, tonight we had about 2,000 plus people come tonight to show the support for the racetrack. And that's why they're here tonight, is to show the support for the racetrack. And we want you to know that we're against Bill 820. We're against Ms. Moore's amendment to it, and we are for the Holland bill amendment going to the bill, and we would like to have the opportunity to prove that we can do it if you either privatize it or if you talk to the fair board and say, fair board, let's do it, and let's do it right. Let's do this right. Now, it's kind of like taking away Central Park in New York. You know, if you took away part of Central Park in New York, look what you could build. Oh, you could build all the buildings in the world. And I want to say one other thing. When they talk about 6,500 people working in that small area, you know how many people was in both Twin Towers in New York? No more than 65,000 people work there, okay? Or 6,500, I'm sorry. No more than 6,500 people work there. I just cannot see two Twin Towers there. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is we have something special there, and I would really love for us to keep it and make it something that we can be proud of, and when people come to Nashville, they'll want to go to it. People from all over the United States come to the flea market, and it's just a wonderful facility, and we need to make it better. Thank you. Vice Mayor, we're going to respect your time, and we're through.
Okay, all the people standing behind you do not wish to speak.
We're through. We're going to respect your time. Okay.
Thank you. Seeing no one else wishing to speak. Sorry, I thought we had a group leader. If you wish to speak, please line up at the gentleman in line wishing to speak. If you wish to speak, please get in the line. Okay, please state your name, your address.
I'm Tony Watson. I live at 539 Fairlane Drive in District 17, Nashville, Tennessee, 37211. I want to thank Mr. Craddock, Mr. Duvall, Mr. Crafton, and all the others that have supported us. Our fairgrounds is the best entity that could ever be here. We need to keep it here for the simple fact that we don't pay any taxpayer money from the taxpayers to do this. Mr. Parton said well the other night on TV. He said, you take zero for 50 million. Cardine wants to do $1 billion for 120 million. How does that work? That's a no-brainer. It don't do no good at all. Our fairgrounds needs to, y'all need to give us an opportunity to show our proposal that we showed you Thursday night on TV, and let's have our opportunity to get the promoters together, give a 20-year lease, and let us prove to y'all what we can do with it. If we're going to spend $9 million over a 5-year period out at Hickory Hollow, why not put it in there? We got $2 million for federal money for the stimulus. Why not take that $2 million and revitalize it? Just like Neil said, you're going to take and doze the thing down, it's going to be in the floodplain. What good does that do? I worked at the car fair this weekend, the car show, Raleigh Car Show. We have an overwhelming amount of people from out of state that came and spent their money here. It's the same way with the racetrack. And I don't know why y'all would even think of taking it away. It don't make a lick of sense. It has no value at all to take that away. And I'd appreciate if y'all vote to save it. A taxpayer and a citizen of the United States, I wish y'all would vote to keep it. Thank you very much, and we appreciate y'all's time immensely.
Good evening, I'm Donna Crawford of 1510 Villa Place, and I'm a longtime South Nashville resident for 5 decades. And my family has lived in the South Nashville area for all their lives. including the Wedgwood, Houston Community, Woodbine, and the Chestnut Hill. The racetrack has been behind...
State your zip code.
37212, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
And the racetrack has been behind our family home for over 50 years, and no one was ever interested in coming to enhance it or upgrade it during the times of our lives there. So it's amazing that they're bringing all this forward now. Also, I wanted to bring up, in comparison of our fairgrounds, you've got the Wisconsin State Fairgrounds in Milwaukee, and which is a central part of their city in Milwaukee, surrounded by a residential community, and also has a history of 100+ years, with their car racing starting in 1903 and ours in 1904. However, their fair board, the difference in Nashville and Milwaukee is that their fair board put $3 million into their race facility to increase the grandstand from 15,000 to 40,000 seating capacity, and utilize it for racing and other activities to enhance the revenue that would come in on the fairground in and of itself. What has our fair board done? Why have they not taken the initiative to put into the facility what is needed to make it work on the fairground? It appears that they have underutilized the highest and best use of the racing facility. That is a major capital asset of Metro and should not be demolished because it's negligent and has no business economic sense to demolish any of the facilities on the fairground. The fairground is a package as a whole and not just one entity or several entities. Therefore, I am not in agreement with demolishing the fairground or any other venues there at the fairground, because it does generate the revenues if it was managed properly. Deposits of the fairgrounds is supposed to be deposited in the county trustee funds, which goes into the state fair funds to separate it and make a separate entity. However, under the former finance director, David Manning, he changed all that in 2000, 2003, and has the money going into intermingling with the general fund, which it has not been changed as of to date. According to the state fair funds or any fair funds, all revenue and deposits are supposed to be generated through the county trustees to keep it a separate entity and maintain the revenues that come in off the fairgrounds for the use of the state fair funds. Also, I've been working with the people in Wayne County in regards to the Tennessee State Fair. They were not able to be here tonight, but I did say that I would submit their petitions in keeping the fairgrounds and supporting their 4-H clubs and their Future Farmers of America. They feel like the leadership skills that their 4-H club and the Future Farmers of America for their youth in their community is as important as other venues at the fairgrounds. So therefore, I'd like to submit their petition for the record, as well as my comments here to go on record for the people of Wayne County. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Buster Sterry at 514 Moore Avenue, Nashville, Tennessee, 37203. I live 2 blocks from the fairgrounds. I hear the track, but I love it. It's music to my ears. And what gets me is the people, I believe, that's come in here tonight and are opposed of the racetrack have moved into an area that's they don't like to hear it. And I don't understand why they move somewhere and then oppose something. You know, I think if I'm going to move in to buy me a house, I'm going to find out what's going on around it first before I buy it. I'm not going to come in and complain and want everybody to move because I moved there. And I hear the trains, as they say. I mean, and that's music to my ears too. So, but the fairgrounds is I go to all the events there, the flea market, the car shows this weekend. Everything they have there, I usually go to. The women's show, I don't, but you know, I know there's a lot of ladies that do. So, but I'm here, and I want to thank y'all for hearing us tonight. And the fairgrounds, I believe we do. Nashville does need the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Kenneth Murphy. I live at 1316 Pillow Street, 37203. And most of what I've heard tonight is everyone talking about the noise. They want to keep everything else but get rid of the track because of the noise. I've lived there for about 14 years. We've had family barbecues. I can sit outside and talk to my friends just like we're talking today. I don't understand. You know, that's the biggest issue that I heard from them. No one has even said anything about the children, hardly ever. We have to have a place for our children to have things to do on the weekends instead of running the streets, racing and getting caught speeding. Here they're learning a skill that possibly could have them a career, to earn money to put back into the community. Everyone's talking about history. Yes, there is a lot of history down there. They've tore down some of it. Why continue to tear any more down? When will it end? We need to save the fairgrounds. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Good evening. My name is Carrie Gabehart. I live at 7611 Fort Sumter Court in Louisville, Kentucky. My zip code is 40213. The chairwoman or whomever was asked us to sit quietly and not talk amongst ourselves. I've done that. I arrived here at 4:10 this afternoon after a long drive to get here. It's very important to me. I see a lot of the people in this room, and I'm not exactly sure who they are on this side of the room. I assume you're all council members, talking amongst themselves, not seeming to me to be respectful to us, and then someone else spoke for me and said, you're part of the group, you're not going to have your chance. So I'd like to have my last 2 minutes and 15 seconds to address you. I come from long racing history. My father was a driver for Grand American Series in NASCAR. We've raced at this track since the late 60s. Darrell Waltrip was one of our drivers. I learned a lot, same as some of these people have said. I wasn't out on the streets running. I tried to discourage my son from wanting to become a racer. Wasn't having it. Told him how hard it was to make it in this business. Lots of people have a dream. Not everybody makes it. You have something in this city that is historical, that means a lot to a lot of people around this country. Not just you in Nashville, not just these ladies and gentlemen that live in this area. I too lived 1.5 miles from a racetrack in my city. Grew up right next to the airport. We all have adaptations that we have to make in our lives. My son went to college, become a mechanical engineer so he could further with his education, his dream to race. Went so he could be the big bad guy and, yeah, look at me, I'm the champion, so that he could show the younger people of this world that if you stand up for what you believe in, keep your nose to the grindstone, get an education, you too can achieve your dream. My son, Chris Gabehart, was a 2008 champion All-American 400. We worked hard. He came back as a crew chief for Kyle Busch Motorsports this year and won it again as crew chief. We spend $10,000 to $13,000 each time we come to this racetrack, 2 or 3 times a year. The purse is not nearly that, maybe 55% of that. We're spending money to come here. There's 3 racetracks in this country that are of this caliber, and if you win one of these 3 races, if you're lucky enough to win all 3, you can move forward. I'm asking you, please, don't take it away from us.
I'd like to speak to you tonight. I have spoken to most of you before. I can be very, very emotional about losing our racetrack.
Could you please state your name and your complete address?
I am Helen Luke. I live at 60 Lester Avenue. I am on the 14th floor. That is Trevecca Towers. My zip code is 37210. Trevecca Towers, I have been told that somebody took a survey over there. Said, want all of this all torn up and get away with. Said, just let it go. That's not true. I live there. I know those people. I don't go a day that 3 or 4 people don't say to me, are we going to get to keep the racetrack? Are we going to get to keep the fairgrounds? The fair used to give us free tickets for anybody that was retired. They like to start that again. I think it'd be a very good thing. I'll pay for mine. But this is very important to this city. not just the people around here, and the people who live around there and have lived there 3 years. This has been there for 106 years, that property has. That racetrack has been going for a lot of time. And I beg you, please, give us our racetrack. We need it. There's boys and girls I'd like to see on that racetrack, on the little track. Little boys and go-karts. Let them learn when they're young. Let them learn what racing is all about. I think that could so be used so great. And I'd like to say thank you to Tony. I guess he isn't in here now, for the great job he did. I was there the first race, and I was there the last race. And if there's another one, I'll be there. Thank you.
Thank you, Council, for hearing me. Mine is very short. My name is June Miller. I live on Nolensville Road, and I'm in District 17. I am, and I've always been, for the fairgrounds and all of its venues. I support the racetrack. When those vehicles rev up their engines, it's exhilarating, very exciting. The noise doesn't really bother us because, you know, you sidetrack yourself. We lived near the airport once and you could see the shadow of the plane on the ground, but in the house we never knew it was going over. So it's a state of mind. There have been many proposals to reduce the noise levels, and I think we should give them a chance to do it, set up some requirements. In order to race, we need to do this, this, and this that will take care of this noise. And I say long live the racetrack and let them have a try at it. Thank you so much.
My name is Mary Page Taylor. My address is 11316 Pillar Street, 37203. I live close to the racetracks. I've been going to the racetrack pretty much all my life. I grew up going to the racetrack. And if you take the racetrack away, there will be nothing for the kids to do. Because my cousin and them used to go to Fall Hamilton. They was straight A students. Their name was Tyler and Delaney. I pretty much went to the racetrack. I grew up around it. I have friends that race there, and it's fun for other people to do. It's something to do in the community. If y'all take it away, there'll be nothing else to do.
My name is Jamie Taylor, and I live at 3424 Harborwood Circle, 37214. Thank you, Vice Mayor Neighbors and council members, for allowing us to speak to you tonight. I've lived here many years, but this is a first for me. I am here tonight to let you know that I am in support of our racetrack and flea market to stay open at the fairgrounds. Going to races is what I like to do. Whether it's in Bristol, Highland Rim, or at the fairgrounds, I like to go to races. Some of you might like to golf. You might like to go to a movie. You might like to go to the Titans game. I like to go to races. I have been going to the fairgrounds racetrack most of my life, from the 70s, from the time when I went with my dad to see Richard Petty, Kel Yarborough, Cuckoo Marlin, and having my first date with my husband there 19 years ago at a Tuesday night powder puff race. I love to go to races at the fairgrounds. And for me, like many other Nashvillians, the racetrack at the fairgrounds isn't just a place, but a memory. And I really want to see it continue to be a place where future memories will be created for others, just like for me and my family. Please don't shut the door on our racing history there. In determining what is best for the site and the city, I would ask you to find out, what is the cost of tearing down the track? How can you vote to demolish this property when you don't know the cost involved? And what is going to recoup that cost and add revenue back to the city?
Have you considered what can go on the flea market site to take the place of the many mom and pop businesses and vendors and community-based events and racing heritage that we have there now? That site is the perfect atmosphere for those type businesses and vendors and thousands of people, including me, who shop and spend money there, and it's a great tax revenue for the county. Where else can you find everything from a great fried bologna sandwich to vintage jewelry to that great old school desk that you didn't even know you needed all in one place? I ask you to continue to talk about what is best for the entire site and work through potential options before you take the drastic step to take away the track for good. Too many uncertainties, too many questions that need to be answered before you vote to tear it down or save it. As the taxpayers, we deserve to know, and you as council members need to know too. As a Davidson County taxpayer, racing fan, and flea market fan, I very much support keeping the races and the flea market open at the site, and I ask you to do the same.
My name is Ken Joyce. I reside at 3520 Thornhill Drive in Antioch, Tennessee, 37013. I'm coming here tonight to convey my concerns in regards to preserving this racetrack, not so much on the history, but what it has the ability to do for us in the future. We're sitting here talking about the growth and office spaces and things of that nature. To me, I've always accepted a challenge, and the challenge is to not create something with someone else's dollar. Let's accept the challenge and see where we could take this. What could this possibly be? What kind of revenue could it generate if we had two of the lower tier races, as in maybe a Craftsman truck race or a nationwide race? What does that do for our economy? Do we want to cut and run and be losers, or do we want to step up to the plate and excel and be a part of history and make something out of nothing and bring it back to its prominence that it once was? I like to take challenges. I travel all over this country. I see fairgrounds in little towns that probably don't have enough revenue to provide and service and maintain a facility. We probably waste more on toilet paper than what these communities have, and they have fairgrounds that are show places. We're a metropolitan city, a capital city of the state of Tennessee, and we neglect a facility like this. Why would we not step up to the plate and take the challenge to make it something? I work in this industry, yes, okay? I make a living in this industry. I see kids come through. I was very fortunate at RIP, being part of youth baseball, spent many years, been a tremendous mentor in that program. Likewise, I see kids come through this. I've taken kids that may not have been on the right side and seen what it takes to move them in a positive direction. I want to comment on one thing now, close this up. 8 of the 49 people that came here and previously spoke have lived in that area in excess of 10 years. 8 of 49. I would have probably looked at that in reference to noise. Every day where I live, I'm on the final approach to the Metropolitan Airport. I hear boats from Percy Priest. I hear trains. I hear the C-130s from the National Guard on a clear night. Okay? Noise. We all have it. Thanks for the council's time. I hope you take a serious consideration in allowing this racetrack to continue to prevail. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jim Severance. I live in Hermitage at 657 Albany Drive. I want to say thank you first for allowing us to come here and speak tonight, and I appreciate this opportunity. I moved to Nashville in 1995, and I now consider Nashville my home. The first time I attended something at the state fairgrounds, I was frankly kind of shocked. I thought it was rather awful looking back in the mid-90s. I've been to state fairs in Missouri and Kansas and Texas and California, and I wondered, why doesn't Nashville have a better fairgrounds? But over the years, I've been to many, many events at the fairgrounds, and I've really come to appreciate and enjoy the fairgrounds, and I've appreciated the improvements that have been made over the years, and every time I go there, it's a little bit better. Nashville is a city of tremendous cultural diversity. We have superb education, entertainment, religious, sports, art, and historic facilities all over our city. When we say Music City, everyone knows that we mean all kinds of music. The fairgrounds, including the racetrack, is just as much a part of our city's cultural fabric as Vanderbilt, or the Titans, or the Frist, or the Iroquois steeplechase, and probably many others. It's just one patch of a quilt that makes us a great city. It must be, in my opinion, preserved, protected, and improved. And there's no logical reason why this facility can't be a great part of a great city now and 100 years from now. I haven't been able to fathom any reason why this facility should be destroyed. Some may feel that there are good reasons. Some have talked about economic development and progress. With that in mind, I would just ask the question, if the fairgrounds can be closed for fill in the blank, can the same thing be said of the Warner Parks or the Sailboat Marina or Centennial Park or the golf courses? Maybe it should be economically developed. The City of Nashville's Parks and Recreation website says that play is important. Well, play at the fairgrounds is part of our city. Several important cultural and historic sites have been lost forever in Nashville. In recent years, we lost Opryland and Starwood. Many years ago, President Polk's house was somehow swindled away from our people and eventually replaced with a motel. A few years ago, the city spent millions of dollars to preserve the Shelby Street Bridge. If one old bridge can be preserved, I think the fairgrounds is far more worth preserving. Thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate it.
Good evening. My name is Reverend Raymond Rizzo. I'm from Franklin, Tennessee, 451 Royal Crossing, 37064. Dear Council, please save the fairgrounds, flea market, and Tennessee State Fair. I believe we can all agree that you, the mayor, and all the concerned citizens of Nashville are interested in the youth of Nashville. The racetrack is a very good place for the Nashville youth to prove themselves in a controlled environment, both on the racetrack and in the stands. Young and old alike have the opportunity to learn how to win, lose, and be part of a team. They can learn to play by the rules and allow character to be built in them, all under the supervision of their families and friends. I've been the chaplain at the racetrack for the last 5 years and have seen tremendous growth in many of the drivers, crews, officials, concession workers, securities, fans. Without a doubt, family is promoted and built through weekly participation at the track. I have personally witnessed the positive influence of the racing community into young people, keeping many off the streets, away from gangs that destroy, and generally becoming a blessing to the state of Tennessee. On a spiritual note, I've personally prayed with each driver privately before they race, many crew members, officials, fans, both publicly and privately, and have witnessed our God use the sport of racing to minister to and through His people. Strange as it may sound, I have witnessed over and over men, women, and children go deeper in character through the sport of racing at the fairground speedways. Please don't let this stop. I know this is what you and the mayor want for the young people of Nashville, the ability to learn, grow, and be tested, all in a safe, controlled atmosphere. What better, very inexpensive way outside of the home and school to build character in our city? I urge you to please save this historic proving ground that is a blessing to our community. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. My name is Marie Harrell, 115 Diana Drive, Dixon, Tennessee, 37055. I was born and raised in Nashville, so I care deeply about what goes on here. I have been going to those fairgrounds
for over 60 years now, and I care deeply about the history and the heritage, not only of the state of Tennessee, but the city of Nashville and that historical facility known as the Tennessee State Fairgrounds and that historical grand old racetrack. Ladies and gentlemen, I feel like it's a very important thing to try to protect, because over the last 60 years that I've been going to that fairgrounds for one reason or another, I have had the privilege to attend the races. I've gone to the Tennessee State Fair. Also, I've entered things in the fair. I've taken my family to the fair, and I have encouraged other people to go there, as well as go into the flea market, in which I am one of the monthly dealers there, and proud to be so. Over the last few years, I've been allowed and very honored to go to schools across Middle Tennessee and talk to school children and encourage them to love Tennessee and to learn about its history and to protect our heritage. And that fairgrounds is one place I try to encourage kids to go to and to have fun there and to enter things at the state fair, to go to the races, to go to all the fun events that take place there. Ladies and gentlemen, not only are we going to be losing something for those children and the children of the future that's affordable and decent, but not only is that going to hurt them, it's going to hurt a lot of other people. It's going to hurt the city of Nashville, the state of Tennessee, and our surrounding neighboring states. And ladies and gentlemen, I might remind you, our neighbors around the surrounding states have been very good to us as tourists. And there's one thing I tell the kids when I go to the schools, and that's this. If we don't take the time to pause in the present, to preserve, to protect, and to learn from the past, then we cannot begin to expect to advance successfully into the future. Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I beg of you, please do the right thing and save our Tennessee State Fairgrounds and that historical grand old racetrack and the races that go on there for the future, so that the people of tomorrow and the kids of tomorrow can enjoy what we've gotten to enjoy today. They deserve what we had. Thank you very much.
My name's Calvin Sharp. I live at 130 Dennis Road, Hendersonville, Tennessee, 37075. I apologize for the phone. I'd like to thank the council for the opportunity. I didn't think I was going to be speaking tonight, but I do have a thing or two I'd like to say. I'm a vendor at the flea market from time to time. I'm a shopper there quite a lot of the time. Sorry. And I think that, well, I've been going to the flea market for over 40 years, since I was in high school. I've gone to the Raceway for various events when I was younger, including the fair and various musical events. I remember going there to see ZZ Top many years ago. One thing I'd like to say about this venue is that we have something special here. I think the fairgrounds serves all the functions we're familiar with, but it acts as a commons. And those type properties are rapidly disappearing all around the country. Many times because the powers that be think they can grab that property without much resistance, and it means quite a bit of money to them. I don't think this property is something we should be selling. It's been in the public trust for a long, long time, over a century. How do we replace something like that when it's lost? I think what's going on here is bigger than just the Raceway. I think the raceway is tied to the rest of the fairgrounds, and that if we lose the racetrack, I think the rest of it will be in a great deal of danger. I'd like to say that if we lose the fairgrounds, that a lot more will be lost than will be gained. And I hope you all consider that. I also have heard a lot of the neighborhood people, and my interest is in saving the fairgrounds, but I have heard those people when they've said that they had issues with the noise or other issues. I've heard that. But here's what I think. I think that everyone here can be accommodated.
Thank you.
And I'd urge the council to vote to save the fairgrounds. Thank you.
I just need to make one announcement. If there is anyone in any of our overflow areas that wishes to speak tonight, please come into the chamber now. We are not ending in 5 minutes. We're not ending in 10 minutes. We said we were here, and if you are here and you wish to speak, please come into the chamber and line up. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chairman. My name is Leroy Ellis. I live at 1111 Birdsall Street in Old Hickory. That's 37138. I'm not being paid to be here, even though I don't live that close to the racetrack. One of the things I hear from a lot of the people that are opposed to the racetrack is that Nashville is a beautiful place, it's a wonderful city, it would really be great if we could just get rid of all these Nashvillians. And this is a wonderfully smart body of people. You're all smarter than most of us because you've gotten elected. Okay, so you got lucky. You're luckier than me. Okay, give me that. And when some of the people who are giving you the economic impact studies talk down to this body, it's an insult to me. And at the November 9th meeting, I watch Channel 3. I watch y'all on Channel 3 all the time. Love to see you talk. And anyway, I enjoy watching the council at work. And when I see the mayor's staff and other people answering your questions in a condescending way, I'm insulted by that, and I hope you are too. I see two standards here. One is the economic impact. When we wanted to build the convention center, what we discussed was the economic impact. The economic impact. And now when we're trying to talk about the fairgrounds and the raceway, it's the cost of operation is the word I've heard a lot of. So, you know, I was educated in Metro Davidson County Public Schools. Got bussed all over the place. Probably went to just about all y'all's district at one time or another. Started in a separate but equal white school and graduated from a wonderfully desegregated Hillsborough High School. And now live out in Old Hickory. I had a great time and I loved it. But to my simple public educated brain, you should use the same standard for both evaluations. Either it's the economic impact or it's the cost of operation. The economic impact, as I understand it, according to Mr. Crafton's study that I heard one evening, the economic impact of the convention center is $120 million. The economic impact of the fairgrounds and raceway is $60 million. So from that standard, it seems logical to keep the fairgrounds. As a Boy Scout, I used to go to the fairgrounds and the racetrack. Loved it. Had a great time, you know, grew up here, and that was something I looked forward to. My daddy took me to the racetrack. We watched the cars go around, the figure eights, and see all kinds of things that were really exciting and good memories. And these are things that make Nashville what it is. People like to move here because Nashville is what it is, and the racetrack and the fairgrounds is part of what has made Nashville what it is, and I hope you will keep it. Please keep the fairgrounds and the racetrack. It's a really great place. Thank you.
Go. Hi, I'm Charles Hernandez. My address is 820 Cherokee Avenue, 37207. I have been going to the fairgrounds since 1989 and have wonderful memories, so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. The idea of all y'all voting to tear down the racetrack is just wrong. I mean, it's bad enough that we lost Opryland. Why in the world would you want to get rid of part of something that has been Nashville's history for a long time. I hope you consider this as you vote on this bill. Thank you.
Good evening, members of the council. My name is Ken Jakes. I live at 5920 Clarksville Pike, and I've been asked by our group to bring up the conclusion of this public hearing. Now, there are over 2,000 people outside now, and they certainly have a right to come up and be heard, and I'm not restricting them from that. But we've done this for one reason, out of respect for you. Do the math. Do 3 minutes times 2,000 plus people, and I believe we're going to lose some council members. We want it voted on tonight. That is testimony in itself. The mass number of troops. That's what I'm going to call them. I'm going to call them troops. You show me how it's been. I don't know of a history that the convention center didn't bring out this much. I do want to address a few things here that haven't been mentioned on either side. I want to address the capital spending budget plan for 2010-2011 because I think it may make a bearing on your decision tonight. Now, it's been stated by Carl Dean, and it's been stated by his administration and even members on the council to the news media that this body in the capital spending plan approved for the demolition of the racetrack to build a 40-acre park. Now, that's half truth. I'm going to give you the facts. I made a records request from the mayor's office myself for the complete capital spending plan. It's here, right here in my hand. Nowhere in this capital spending plan that this body passed does it state a specific location. It doesn't even say a size. All you passed was a park. So then I said, let me think about that just a minute. Let me go to the Metro Code under the definition of parks and greenways. Can it be possible that there's a size requirement? Well, there's not. So I'm going to ask you, what is a park? Is it 1 acre? Is it 2 acres? Is it 3 acres? Where did the 40 acres come into play? Well, I'm going to tell you, it was fabricated by Mayor Cardine. Because it's not what this body passed. You passed for a park. Okay, secondly, I'd like to address on this map right here, the racetrack. And this is a pretty detailed map. If you'll notice, all the blue, the light blue is the Browns Creek, and the darker blue is the floodplain. Well, let's take it one more step farther. Let's take it to the FEMA 100-year floodplain. You can't see it, I'm sure, from your distance because it's a faint striped line, but it comes all the way around the racetrack, and even the racetrack is not in the floodplain. Now, we can take earth movers, I'm sure, and we can cut it down, but I can also go down Cumberland River and cut a mountain down and put it in the floodplain. Now, this is the map that I acquired from the Metropolitan Government of Davidson County. Now, I said that, well, boy, 3 minutes is flying by when I could do it for 3 hours.
Thank you.
We'll rest our case.
Okay. Seeing no one else wishing to speak, I declare the public hearing closed. Councilmember Moore.
Vice Mayor, there is an amendment to this bill that I would like to move. With the
need to move approval of the bill.
I'm sorry.
You move, and we have a second. It is on the floor, and now you'd wish to move the amendment.
Yes, I wish to move the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. Do you wish to say anything?
Yes, I do have a brief statement.
Council member.
I want to thank those in attendance that have stated their comments and perspectives and passions and accounts of the history of the fairgrounds. I also want to acknowledge those who have called and sent emails, as well as the viewing audience, especially those who live in the neighborhood that I proudly serve in District 17. I have listened during all conversations and acknowledged the concerns of all persons with whom I have discussed the fairgrounds issue. During the discussion, we have talked at length about the fairgrounds history. A document has been placed on your desk, on each council member's desk, about the history of the fairgrounds. Although the site has certainly been a part of Nashville's history, the fairgrounds and the racetrack in particular has been found to be ineligible for the historic registry because of its alteration after a fire in the 60s. The racetrack has gone through several additional alterations as well. To be frank, the racetrack is not what it used to be, and the loss of its Victorian grandstands and the loss of NASCAR have turned the racetrack into a shadow of what it once was. Now, I don't disrespect the rich history of racing or the great stories I have heard in recent months. With that in mind, I did get the chance to visit the Nashville Superspeedway in Glayville to get more information on racing in the area. The track is 1.25 miles and it seats 25,000 people, has plenty of parking, and it's a beautiful facility. I even had the opportunity to ride around the track, which was really nice for me. During my visit, I observed that this wonderful track is in a rural setting with few houses near the complex. And after my visit, I did some more research and found that there are 9 paved oval tracks and about 21 oval dirt tracks in Tennessee, including 2 quarter-mile tracks at Highland Rim Speedway and Riverview Speedway. Clearly, Tennessee still celebrates its racing history, and while I agree that the history of racing should be preserved, I don't agree that it should be done at the current fairground site. The fairgrounds racetrack, in comparison to the Glayville site, is located in an urban setting. Since NASCAR left in the mid-1980s, the track has seen several changes in management, but its dwindling attendance and revenue losses have continued. Meanwhile, concerns from the neighbors I served were ignored, and some even left because of the noise. Their voices deserve to be heard in this debate, too. For those who would argue that the racetrack was there first, let's remember that before the racetrack, we did have Browns Creek. This creek has been placed on the EPA list of impaired waterways, meaning it does not meet the federal standards for quality. Several community groups and businesses have worked to clean up the creek, and which flows into our drinking water. It deserves the chance to be restored to a beautiful urban stream and return to at least some of its natural waterway. If our area learned anything from the May 2010 flood, it's that Browns Creek can become a raging river very quickly, especially if it continues to be polluted and mismanaged. We have to ask ourselves, what's our priority, clean water for communities or the continuation of the racetrack? In closing, the fairground site is not going to be taken away, as I keep hearing, contrary to what some may think. The property will always be there, but we must consider the best practical use given the value of the land. This body has had the chance to review the numerous plans that we have commissioned over the years regarding the future of this property. And all of them acknowledge that something drastically different must be done if the fairgrounds is going to contribute to the progress we are seeing in all the areas around us. I see other districts have new grocery stores, increased business opportunity, and green space. The quality of life in many parts of Nashville has improved. This bill can help do the same for South Nashville. We as a body have already approved plans for a park and the restoration of Browns Creek, and this bill will ensure that we have the opportunity to enact those plans in a way that benefits all the communities surrounding the fairgrounds property. Everyone in here wants the best for their district. 17th District deserves the best too. With that, I renew my motion for approval.
Need to have committee reports. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Just on this particular amendment, is that correct? How should I do this? Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
I think we are. Okay, so would it be beneficial for me just to go through each amendment and tell you exactly what Budget and Finance did, or just on this amendment?
Just this.
Perfect. Budget and Finance approved 8-4, 4 against, 1 abstention.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans or Councilmember Wilhort?
I note that Councilmember Evans is going to be handling these legislation.
Okay. Councilmember Evans.
If I understand you correctly, you want the committee report on the bill
amendment.
on the Moore amendment, amendment
Correct.
number 1, correct? Okay, in that case, Public Works did not recommend on a vote 2 for, 3 against, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
I do have a committee report on the others, but
Yeah,
I'll wait.
we'll get to those.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Parks, Library, and Recreation voted 2 for, 3 against, and did not recommend this amendment.
Thank you. Councilman Crafton.
I wanted to speak on the main bill.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the amendment. Is there discussion? Councilman Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to take amendment number 5 and make that a secondary amendment to Ms. Moore's amendment, please.
Go ahead.
Councilman Duvall has made a secondary amendment to Ms. Moore's main amendment, which would, the only change it would make is to, instead of the new site for an expo center, if one is ever identified, instead of that being approved by resolution, it would be to have it approved by ordinance.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Dominic.
I believe his amendment refers to the study that's required in Ms. Moore's amendment. That's something that we're supposed to vote on as a body. Can we clarify that?
His amendment refers to the approval of the site as an expo center. That was the only reference to a resolution that was in the bill at the time the amendment was filed.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on Councilmember Duvall's amendment.
And there are committee reports on this amendment.
We will get the committee reports on amendment number 5. Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 5 for, 4 against, and 4 abstentions.
Thank you. Councilmember Evans.
5, correct? 5.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Number 5.
Public Works voted to approve 4, 0 against, 1 abstention.
Thank you, Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Parks.
Councilman Ryman.
I didn't know that this went to Public Works. I thought this went to Codes.
I think we just misspoke.
I apologize, Vice Mayor, with the hour, and my son is homesick, so I'm a little distracted. I meant Codes.
Thank you, Councilman Ryman. Councilman Maynard.
Vice Mayor, Parks, Library, Recreation, and Public Entertainment Facility Committee voted to recommend in favor 5 for, and 0 against.
Thank you.
Now, if there's any discussion on the secondary motion, we can have that. But.
Okay. I'm going to make sure we follow the rules here tonight, or in the morning. Is there any discussion on Councilmember Duvall's secondary amendment? All in favor. Councilmember Wilhoit.
With the secondary amendment, Vice Mayor, and of course John Cooper, is this not already included in, or is this already incorporated in Councilor Moore's original legislation?
No.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor of amendment number 5, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Amendment number 5 passes as a secondary amendment to amendment number 1. We're now back to amendment number 1.
As amended.
As amended. Councilmember Wilhoit.
I was letting you know my mic is on.
Okay. Councilman Craddock.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You know, it's 10 after 10, and I just feel like dirt. I've got a bad cold, a head cold. I'm still in a boot. But can I tell you that I am tickled to be here because the people have had their right to speak, pro and con. They've had opportunity. And all of us should be proud of ourselves for affording the people the opportunity to do that. There are more people in this courthouse right now, some 2,000, that have ever been here on an issue before in the history of this government, ladies and gentlemen. Which is, quite frankly, the reason that I'm going to vote against Ms. Moore's amendment. Because I'm going to honor those red shirts.
We will have order, or we will clear the chamber.
I was asked by a reporter. Can you imagine that, a reporter asking me a question? I was asked by a reporter what the difference in this issue and that of the convention center. And you know what? I felt uniquely qualified to answer that question. I've lived here all of my life. In just a couple of months, I'll be 55 years old. I know I've been rode hard and put up wet, but I've lived here all of my life. And the fairgrounds is a part of my fabric, is my culture. And I don't want to see it go away. I am ashamed, quite frankly, of this government and the Fair Board for neglecting it to the point that they have. It can be an asset. If we would just commit to spend the $10 million that we were going to give the Dillard's Corporation on leasing out there, if we'd spend that on the fairgrounds, we'd be okay. We'd have a nice state-of-the-art facility that would complement the convention center. So I don't want any part of this demolished. I don't want any part of it to go away. I want us to commit to this entire city, all 650,000 of them, that will make it a better place. Yes, we'll make it a better place for the yellow shirts as well, because they live there and they deserve that. So I'm going to vote against her amendment because I don't like Section D. That's it. Surely, after all of this debate and all of these people weighing in, we can come to some sort of agreement. Personally, I think that would be Councilman Holloman's agreement, and that's the one I'll be supporting.
Councilmember Lalone.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was appropriate at this point to ask what exactly the differences are between Councilmember Moore's amendment and Councilmember Holloman's, since there's a lot of similarities.
Councilmember Holloman is next in the queue.
Okay, well, I will hope that he makes those distinctions clear to us.
Councilmember Holloman.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor, and I'll be happy to make that explanation. My amendment is simply the same as Council Lady Moore's in regard to what I think we all heard when we had a workshop, which is that we need a master plan for this site and for this area moving forward. That's included in the bill. Keeping the state fair, keeping the flea market is included in the bill. Keeping the racetrack itself is included in both bills. The only difference between my bill and Council Lady Moore's bill is whether or not we include an express provision that says we won't have racing. My version, my amendment, deletes that provision and leaves that decision to the Fair Board, which is where this decision has always been until we took this issue on a couple months ago. So that's the only difference between these two bills, is whether or not this body wants to make an actual statement to end racing, or whether or not we want to keep that decision with the Fair Board.
Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm supporting Councilor Lady Moore's amendment because it incorporates the changes. It also incorporates, as Councilman Holloman stated, the recommendations that were made by other council persons after hearing from constituents. The distinction between Councilman Holloman's bill and Councilman Moore's bill amendment is this, as follows, is that he states that the Fair Board has the right then to permit racing. Councilor Lady Moore's amendment, no? Well, my understanding is that Councilman Holloman's bill basically states it does not prohibit expressly racing there at the fairgrounds. The Fairgrounds Board has already decided not to have a lease for racing at the fairgrounds. So therefore, the difference between Moore's bill and Holloman's bill is, on its face it may be different, but in all practicality there is no difference, because the Fairgrounds Board has already decided not to have racing there, or not by not having a lease. I'm going to support Council Lady Moore's bill because of two things. One, based on principle. That her bill, she worked extremely hard to work with every council person here in this body. She worked extremely hard to make sure that this amendment incorporated many of the recommendations that our fellow colleagues gave to her. She was in good faith to do so, and therefore I'm supporting her. I hope that everyone that worked with Council Lady Moore in creating this amendment that incorporates their recommendations will now vote with her for this bill. Again, the distinction between Holloman's bill and Moore's bill on its face may be different, but all practicality it is the same, because the Fair Board has not renewed the lease for racing. So there's no racing going on at the fairgrounds. Thank you.
Councilman Gatto.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Under our rules, my interpretation would be that since Councilman Holloman's name was called and but there were some representations made about his bill, and I thought we still had.
He is back in the queue, but there's two people ahead of him.
Well, but I thought he still had the opportunity to respond when somebody speaks up. Mr. Cooper, could we get a ruling on that, please, sir?
The last term?
Yes, sir. I understand that, Mr. Cooper, but I thought we left something in there to where somebody could speak if they were referred to, and it was in either a derogatory manner.
It was a derogatory or derogatory manner, and it would be up to the chair to determine whether his character was called into question.
I think that was more about the substance of the interpretation of the bill and not his character. And he is back in the queue. Right now it's Councilman Dominy's turn. Yes?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. John, are we here on Councilmember Moore's amendment?
Yes.
But not Councilmember Holloman's amendment, correct?
We have to deal with Councilmember Moore's first.
The motion that's on the floor has to be disposed of before he can make a motion on his.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Holland. Councilman Dominy.
Are we here? Thank you, Vice Mayor. The couple things I want to mention. First of all, I'm flattered that this bill would be brought forward using the same premise that the bill that I'd sponsored used. You know, they say imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. And all the legal questions apparently were overcome when they brought this bill forward. That said, the people that have come here to speak have overwhelmingly spoke that they want that property to stay there. The reasons why we started this process was so that we could improve the profitability of that property or do away with it because it wasn't profitable. So this bill requires that property sit idle for a period of time that we have no benefit from it whatsoever. I don't think it's appropriate. It does not represent the will of the people that came here to speak, many of which did not speak for the sake of our time, and I think it should be voted down and we should support Councilman Holloman's bill, and I will yield the rest of my time to Councilman Holloman.
Councilman.
Thank you, Councilman Dominy. I would like to just briefly respond to Councilman Maynard's comments in that I want this body to understand that I totally agree with the fact that Council Lady Moore has worked very hard on this and tried to build consensus, and I'm very glad that we're down here tonight debating between what I see as fairly small changes between the shared goal that we're going to have a master plan for this site. I think that taking this from our workshops and now having a master planning process is a huge step forward that this body has taken, and I think we're all to be commended for that. My thinking in offering this amendment that deletes subsection D is simply that we have heard from a lot of people that do care about racing here tonight, and that when we come to the table for this process, that everybody comes on equal footing. That this body doesn't make a conclusion, doesn't forego that process, but says we're going to let everybody sit at the table together and work this out and talk about what we see as our shared vision for the site, rather than preordaining a portion of that. I have confidence and faith that at the end of that process, we're going to come out with a good product that, if we put dollars behind and infrastructure commitments with, will actually be a step forward for this city. But I do not see the value in preordaining at least one conclusion to that, and that's the reason that I've deleted that section, so that everybody can come to the table together on equal footing. I think that's fair. That's why I sponsor the amendment, and that's why I ask that you not vote in favor of Amendment 1, but instead, when my amendment comes, that you vote for that amendment instead. Thank you.
Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'd like to reiterate my adjoining district council members' views a little bit. We've had a lot of discussion tonight about district issues, and I ran on and I actively support neighborhood life in this city, and so I'm very sympathetic to what the council lady is trying to do, and I commend her for taking so much of what we learned and incorporating it into the amendment. But the fact is, it's not a district issue. This is no more a district issue than if we were to decide to redevelop for residential housing Percy Warner Park, which sits adjacent to my district, which is probably worth quite a bit of money if we were to do that. And nobody thinks we're going to do that. That's just silly, right? But there are a lot of people who probably thought it would be just silly to redevelop the fairgrounds too. I always tell my constituents that whenever there's a zoning bill, I strive very hard to do the work so that nobody wants to come down to the public meeting. And they don't want to come because they feel like their voice has been heard and their interests have been listened to, and they know that they're in good hands down here. When this many people shows up, that tells us, maybe we need to put a little more work into it. And I think the master planning process is really a good one. I do agree with Councilman Holloman. Putting one of those stakeholders at a explicit disadvantage in that process is just unfair. The process is there. Everybody needs to be on the same playing field. So the next time we're back discussing this, everybody feels like we're here with a consensus that they can be comfortable with and that we've represented them. So I'm not, and as much as I regret it, unable to support Council Lady Moore's amendment. I will be supporting Councilman Holloman's amendment. This is an issue for all of Nashville, and we have to vote it that way. Thank you.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I rise in support of Sandra Moore's amendment tonight. I think that Sandra, our Council Lady Moore, has spent a lot of time on this. She has actually worked to include many, many components into her amendment that she heard from other council members. And what I think we heard tonight was her neighborhood come out overwhelmingly to talk about the fact that they have some serious issues about the racetrack. So I think I need to make sure I'm very clear, Mr. Cooper, you can help me here, that what her amendment does is stops racing until the master planning process is complete. That's it. It makes sure that this neighborhood has been heard and that there is no racing until that master plan process goes through. I think that is the least we can do for these neighbors until they sort out all these issues, that we take a position as a council that is what will happen. Then, if during the master planning process, there is some component where in some world, urban racing is the best thing that ever happened to Nashville, and that's what they decide that we need to vote on as a council, it'll come back here, and we can think about it then. But I think for these neighbors and for what they deserve and for what Council Lady Moore deserves is that tonight we vote on her amendment that makes it very clear that racing will not happen until after the master planning process.
Councilmember Stanley.
Just want to rise tonight to say that I'm very appreciative to Council Lady Moore for her bill and her amendment. But I will say that I am not in favor of this amendment tonight. One of the reasons primarily is associated with the park. I am strongly supportive and in favor of the restoration of Browns Creek. That's a natural creekway that demands Metro's attention to remove litter and all the damaging effects that such a natural waterway can have. However, the park that was approved for this Browns Creek, this restored Browns Creek, is not 40 acres. This 40-acre park that's included in this bill and in this amendment will encroach upon the racetrack. I am not in favor of demolishing that racetrack. I am not in favor of using Metro tax-paying dollars to demolish a racetrack that has been a part of the history of this city for years. I would say that I got a letter, as did all the other council members, from a organization that is in favor of redeveloping the fairgrounds. They said that this bill tonight is going to initiate the first step in repositioning the fairgrounds to a mixed-use development. But I'm sorry, I still do not believe that simply a mixed-use development that's going to be residential and corporate office space cannot be practical or cannot be beneficial. It will not generate revenue for the city. So with that, I will say that I'm going to support Councilman Holloman's amendment. I'm appreciative for Councilor Moore for the work that she has done with her community. But I will let you know that I feel that this fairgrounds is a very stable area of Metro Nashville. It's in the core, and it is surrounded by other entertainment venues such as LP Field, Bridgestone Arena, Ryman Auditorium, Country Music Hall of Fame, the Schermerhorn Symphony Center, and the new Music City Center Convention Hall. It'd be great to have a theme park right next to that racetrack. But I'll let you know right now that I will support Jason Holloman's amendment. Thank you.
Councilman Crafton.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. As Council Lady Evans said, the fairgrounds is a citywide issue. The reason I like Councilman Holloman's amendment better is because, number one, the city's broke. You know, we don't have $15 million to tear the track down to begin with. And yet we're going to spend $10 million to move the operations to Hickory Hollow Mall. So if we have the $10 million, why don't we develop the master plan like we all talked about at the workshop on Saturday before last, spend the money, reinvest in that property that generates $50 to $60 million a year. That's the Fair Board's own numbers. I didn't make them up. I'm just taking them at their word. Let's enhance that asset. Now, if we put in a provision that closes it down, it's just going to sit empty. And by the way, if our council terms were 1 year and we had to run for re-election every year, none of us would be here. That's the same way with people that want to do the track. They're not going to invest $10 million in a track unless they've got a 10 or 15-year lease. So if we're going to think this is an asset we want to keep, then we need to look at a master plan that explores this opportunity. Now, like I said at the meeting, I still don't know why this is before us, this whole project. Why are we here? When I was in the Navy, we had a couple of different acronyms that described what we're in right now, but I'm not going to highlight them. You can all think about them. But the reason we're here, because you know what they are, Rip. The reason we're here is there's not been any leadership, not from this body, but from another branch that could articulate why we need to do this now. What's the purpose? Are the economics such that this is better? Is there some corporation that wants to buy this property? I don't think so. There are millions of square feet of office space right now that's going unrented. You know, so I would be in favor of a master plan. We're in no hurry to do this. There's nobody waiting to buy this.
The racetrack can be a success. The neighbors have brought up some valid points. They need some restrictions. The Fair Board, had it done its job, would have instituted some noise restrictions. They've been very negligent in their responsibility, and the council at large member that said, well, they've decided that they don't want to have a racetrack lease. Let me tell you something. I had a bill to remove the Fair Board and was asked to withdraw my bill to give them a chance to come and talk to the Rule and Confirmation Committee. I said I would do that. I did that. It's been 2 meetings. Haven't heard anything. I'm reintroducing my bill to get rid of the Fair Board because they haven't maintained their responsibilities. If they had, they would have spent money to keep this place like it should have been. It should have never been let it run down and be dilapidated. Yes, it's dilapidated. Yes, it's an eyesore, but that's the city's fault for not making the investment. We spent $16 million on the Skirmerhorn. That's great. Okay? We spent $7 million a year on the Predators. That's fine. We spent $120 million from Metro Water on the Titan Stadium. That's fine. We've done the Frisk Center. We've done TPAC. We've done the Centennial Park. Why not do something that other people like to do? Average people that can go to a flea market, a racetrack. Let's spend some money on that instead of letting it fall down to where we say, well, you know, they're having trouble making money, but, you know, the place is falling down. So I'm going to go with a master plan that lets us invest in an asset and look towards the future, and I hope you will too.
Councilman Holland.
Vice Mayor, Mr. Cooper, of any chartered board, has the council ever passed an ordinance demanding that it do or not do something?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So this would be the first?
Yes.
So I rise in opposition to the Moore amendment because it would be imposing our will upon the executive branch, and I have much respect for the separation of powers. We give our power away freely, this legislative body does, and here we're kind of acting like children. We don't like the balls that we have, and so now we want to jump into the executive branch and start playing with their toys. It's entirely inappropriate. We shouldn't even be here, but in the case that we are, I think it's a bad public policy to say we got a track, but we're not going to use it. So we're not going to utilize our public asset. To some of the proponents' points, it seems to be about respecting the wishes of the District 16 council member. 17, I apologize, council lady. Well, I believe Councilman Jameson beside me was vehemently opposed to the convention center. I believe that's squarely in Council District 6. So let's be the same way. Let's be consistent. We can't call it disrespect now, and it was respectful back then. Let's call it the way it is, and let's vote down the Moore amendment. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Councilman Foster.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I move the previous question on Amendment 1 as amended.
Have a motion and a second on the previous question. We will use the machine.
We can. Previous question is...
The previous question is on the Moore amendment as amended.
We can do that by voice first. We can do previous question by voice first.
I'm sorry. We're doing previous question by voice. I apologize. I need another cup of coffee. All in favor of previous question, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Previous question passes. We're now back on the vote for the amendment number 1 as amended with amendment number 5. We're doing a machine vote. Madam Clerk.
Ayes 19, noes 21.
Motion fails. We will have order. Okay, now if without objection, we will go to the Councilman Holloman's amendment. Councilman Holloman.
Committee reports, Vice Mayor.
Councilmember Berry.
Remind me which amendment this is.
The very last one.
Thank you. Okay. Budget and Finance disapproved 4-7 against 3 abstentions. Yeah, okay.
Councilmember Evans.
Councilman Ryman, I'm going to get it right this time. The Codes Committee approved this amendment 4 in favor, 0 against, 1 abstention. Madam Chair, would you like the committee report on the bill as amended, or do I wait? Okay, that, just on the amendment 401. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Pikes, Parks and Library voted in favor, 5-4-0 against, to recommend the amendment.
Thank you. Councilmember Holloman.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I would like to make a friendly secondary amendment and move Amendment 5 to Mr. Holloman's amendment, please.
We have a motion and a second. Seeing no discussion, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now back on the original motion on Councilman Holloman's. Is there discussion on Councilman Holloman's amendment as amended? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. We will do a machine vote. Madam Clerk.
Ayes 29, noes 11.
Motion passes. We're now back on the other amendments.
The other amendments have been...
Those are the ones that are all incorporated. Okay, we're now back on the original bill as amended with the 2 amendments. Councilman Forcom?
Yeah, maybe this is a point of order, but something that has never really been discussed that I really wanted to get to before the previous question was called a while ago, and that would be for future voting. Even the master plan, no one's really said, is there a timeline when this master plan would be submitted or have to be submitted? I mean, we were basically not looking at the timeline out there to say, well, how long will it be before this master plan has to be submitted?
There's no set timeline in the bill.
Okay. So it just runs indefinitely.
It would be up to the 3 departments that are working to put the master plan together.
Well, to me, that's kind of a critical issue because you're sitting there, you're stopping something for a certain period of time and you don't really have a time frame set, and that's why I thought that was an important question. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll make committee reports.
Councilmember Wilhoit?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. I think Councilman Forcom has touched something that was on my mind as well about the master plan. We have the neighbors who have come up with issues that are occurring in their district now with the noise. So with the master plan, if it's not going to be a timeline when that's going to be addressed, will these other issues be addressed for those persons who's being... It may not be, but it's a concern. I want it answered, if that's okay with council members, and I think these neighbors deserve that. Thank you.
You want to answer?
I'm not sure I can. I think I understand. The master plan would deal with several issues. It would deal with the construction of the public park and restoration of Browns Creek. It would deal with whether the existing facilities on the property should continue or should be demolished, removed, whatever. It would deal with the planned development for mixed-use purposes, and it would recommend zoning changes that are necessary to implement the master plan.
But it will not deal with the noise and trying to get the neighbors and the racetrack owners to work together? I want that answer publicly. Will that, he didn't answer that question, well, council members. I just want to have that question answered.
The bill as amended.
No, I want to talk to Councilman Cooper. I think I have the right to ask that question. Excuse me, council members. Go right ahead, Mr. Cooper, please.
The master plan speaks to the existing facilities and what should be done with the existing facilities. It does not specify that it's to include racing at all. It would be up to the developers of the plan and then ultimate approval of the council.
Thank you.
We need to have a committee report on the bill as amended. Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance voted, now which amendment?
This is the bill as amended, and we need to get Ms. Moore to move approval as amended.
Sorry, Councilmember Moore. move approval as amended?
Move approval as amended.
Second.
Okay, now we need the committee report. Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved as amended, 8 for, 4 against, 1 not voting.
Councilmember Evans.
Codes Committee approved as amended with the amendment number 8, Holloman Amendment, 4 in favor, 0 against, 2 abstentions.
Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Parks and Libraries approved 5 for, 0 against as amended.
Thank you. Councilman Captain, you wish to speak on this?
All the committee reports being, I'll, don't call the question. Okay, I won't call the question.
Councilman Gatto.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'll be brief. I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that we're going to vote in favor of this bill as amended, and I just want to admonish the Fair Board to pay attention to what happened here tonight, and I think they understand what the wishes of all these people are that spoke down here tonight, and I think they understand what the wishes of the majority of the members in this council is. So I just hope they will take that into account as they deliberate and develop the master plan. And that would include the timing, as Council Lady Wilhoit pointed out, that all of those questions need to be answered. Thank you.
Councilmember Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John, just briefly, and I think you may have already done it, would you just give a brief description of exactly what Councilman Holloman's amendment did, where you're talking about 4 entities, basically, the flea market, the expo center, the fairground, in other words, the state fair, and racing.
Okay.
I mean, tell it where folks can know that are listening to you and that are folks out there, so you know where everybody stands.
Okay. First, the amendment specifies that there is to be a state fair in 2011 and 2012. It requires the development of the master plan that I described a few minutes ago, dealing with the park and the restoration of Browns Creek, what to do with the existing facilities, a mixed-use development plan, and any necessary zoning that needs to be done. And that's basically the 2 primary aspects of the bill.
Thank you.
Councilman Jamison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Agreeing with Councilman.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I was describing just the amendment. The original bill provides that the flea market would continue indefinitely.
Now, Councilman Jamison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, again. Sensing that Councilman Gatto is correct, that this bill appears poised to pass, I just really wanted at this point to reassure Council Lady Moore how proud we all are of her and the enormous work she did. And the vote that we took moments ago seemed to be a minor distinction, but I think she can rest assured and her constituents can rest assured that she did an enormous amount of good, and I feel like I'm voting for 95% of what Council Lady Moore was after. Also, frankly, want to thank the council, because I think they came together with respect to the master plan issue in particular, and I sense real unanimity on that approach, at least. So I think we all walk out of here a little bit more unified than we were just an hour ago, and with that would join in the approval. Thank you.
Councilman Dominy.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just want to put on public record that the groups that would be involved in discussing this master plan. John, can you please explain what the bill says?
The bill, as amended, provides that the Fair Board would be responsible for the master plan, working with the Parks Department and the Planning Department. And it further specifies that the Fair Board could retain a consultant for development of the plan using its existing funds.
Well, I would hope that we would involve all the stakeholders and not have a preconceived position as the Fairgrounds Task Force did, so that everybody gets an opportunity to participate.
One other thing the bill provides is that the existing studies, the previous studies regarding the fairgrounds and use of the property, including the recent task force report, would all be considered in development of the master plan.
I appreciate that, but the task force also excluded any discussion of current uses, and I want to make sure that all the stakeholders have the opportunity to participate in this master plan.
Councilman Stanley.
Hey, I'd just like to let everyone know that this fairground property is 117 acres in size, and I was on the council in 1997 when they closed the 120-acre Opryland theme park. And when they closed that, they created a substantial void for the city with regards to tourist revenue. The Opry Mills Mall that replaced Opryland theme park has failed in every matter to generate any type of substantial revenue or to offset what we lost when Opryland was closed. So I would like to see this master plan developed that would include possibly a theme park in an environmental venue in the core area of Metro Nashville, Davidson County. One thing I'd like to say too, I'd like to have the master plan, or I'd like to have the council, just the council itself, develop a community sound insulation program, the same that was done for the people out in Antioch and Donaldson when they put the air terminal in. And it was created back in 1992. It ran from 1992 to 1997. I was chair of the council's noise mitigation committee that worked cooperatively with MDHA for 3 years, from 1996 through 1999, to make sure that these homes were insulated from the noise that was generated by the airplanes. We can do the same thing with these homes that are around this fairground property. Insulate them from any adverse noise, and make sure that these people have invested appropriately in their property. Thank you.
Councilmember Duvall.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I really wasn't going to say anything, but I think I have to. I want to thank the citizens of Davidson County for showing up tonight, plus the people in surrounding counties and even surrounding states. The red shirts were 2,000 strong. The folks in yellow came out strong also. And we heard what they said, and we need to listen to what they said. And I'm getting a lot of nods, yes, we are going to. Well, I'm going to be looking at you to make sure we do. Mike Jameson, thank you so very much for recommending we put the workshop together on a Saturday. I don't believe we could have had tonight without that, and I want to thank you for that. Our fairgrounds are a treasure, are an absolute treasure. It is a common man like me and woman's convention center. I probably will make a trip into the convention center just to look at it, but I doubt that I'll ever attend an event there. You know, the new convention center. Oh, well, guess what? I will be at the NRA Convention Center. And we got to make sure we can come. Don't tell me I can't walk in that building. I'm embarrassed. I'm gonna say just, all right, I'll sit down just a minute, please, throw a brick at me. All right, I got 2 minutes and 20 seconds, very quickly. The track's been set up to fail. There have been alternative plans proposed. There's been a plan submitted where people are willing to put their money where their mouth is. There's been a plan that's been put out that didn't speak tonight, but has at other public hearings about electric power. And, you know, the first thing I heard about this, I said, who wants to watch a bunch of golf carts go around a track? These are motorcycles that do 160 miles an hour. It's unbelievable, the technology that's out there. The facility has not cost us anything when I talk about actual taxpayer contribution. We have not put money into this. We're not taking money like we did to build a new convention center. The study says we put $50, $60 million in economic impact back in for zero investment. It's time we invest, or we help the Fair Board set this up to make it work the way it should. I want to really thank this council and support this bill, and thank you for allowing we the people to speak tonight. Because if you wouldn't have made that step, that giant leap, and you did it twice, once at my request, once at several council members' request. I want to thank you so very, very much from the bottom of my heart, and I know these people out in the audience feel the same. Thank you.
Councilmember Evans.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Like my colleague from the 6th District, I want to rise and sincerely thank the sponsor of the bill, Council Lady Moore, who I think has so much to be proud of in the work that she's done for her district. And I'm grateful for her service to this city and to her district. And I know that, you know, we had a difference tonight, distinction tonight without, in my opinion, much of a difference. But I think in the long run, we're going to be well served by it. Nashville is a unique and wonderful city, and being unique and wonderful includes, I'm afraid, flea markets and race car drivers. So thank you, Council Lady Moore, for all you do, and I want to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I do actually want to rise in support of Council Lady Moore, but I want to say this to you. I want to say that support of you would have been to support your bill. Thank you.
Councilman Crafton.
Pre-question.
We have a motion and a second on previous question. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Previous question passes. We're now back on the original bill as amended with the 5th amendment and the last amendment. We will have a machine vote.
Tell John.
Madam Clerk.
Ayes 37, no 0, 3 abstentions.
BL 2010-820 as amended passes. We're now at RS 2010-1484, issues general obligation bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $1 million. Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Neighbors. I respectfully wish to defer one meeting.
We have a motion and a second for a one-meeting deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1507 approves an application for an IBM Smarter Cities Challenge grant from the IBM Corporation to Metropolitan Government. Councilmember Berry.
Move approval.
Committee report.
Is that me too? We approved 11-4-0 against. And I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1508 accepts a donation from Fred's Inc. to Metro Government for the use and benefit of the Metro Nashville Fire Department for public safety education programs. Councilmember Berry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Langster.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Public safety voted 6 in favor, 0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Order, please. Please leave the chamber quietly. Bill RS 2011-1509 accepts a grant from the Community Foundation of Middle Tennessee to the Metro Police Department for funding to be used for the support of the El Protector program. Councilmember Berry.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Langster.
Vice Mayor, Committee Public Safety voted 6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget and Finance.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1510 approves an intergovernmental agreement with the State Bureau of Investigation and the State Department of Safety regarding participation in the Tennessee Fusion Center. Councilmember Berry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Langster.
Public Safety voted 6 in favor, 0 against.
Budget and Finance.
Approved 11-4-0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1511 accepts a grant from the State Department of Economic and Community Development to Metropolitan Government to provide funding for on-the-job training for new and existing employees. Councilmember Berry.
Committee report, please.
Councilman Toller.
Personnel voted 8-4-0 against.
Budget and Finance.
Approved 11-4-0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1512 approves an amendment to a grant to the Metropolitan Board of Health for immunization program activities and staffing. Councilman Forcom.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Forcom.
Health and Hospital vote approved 3-4-0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1513 approves a contract between the Metropolitan Board of Health and the National Step Show Alliance to provide programs for Project Diabetes implementation activities in Davidson County. Councilman Forcom.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Forcom.
Health and Hospital voted approved 4-4-0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1514 accepts a grant from the Greater Nashville Regional Council to the Metro Social Services Commission to provide meals to eligible seniors at congregate meal sites and home-delivered meals. Councilman Forcom.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Forcom.
Health and Hospital voted approved 4-4-0 against, and I move approval.
A motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1515 appropriates grant funds from the Nashville Farmers Market for promotion of the Nashville Farmers Market. Councilmember Gilmore.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Please read the bill again. I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. Just.
It's RS 2011-1515.
Okay. I move for approval.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilmember Wilhoit.
Codes Committee approved 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Gilmore.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1516 approves an amendment to a grant from the Nashville Public Library Foundation to the Nashville Public Library for totally outstanding youth advocates for the library program. Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Budget and Finance.
Approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Maynard.
Park Libraries approved 5-4-0 against. I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1517 approves an amendment to a state grant to the Nashville Public Library to target library materials to persons having difficulty using a library in Davidson County. Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Maynard.
Parks and Library approved 5-4-0 against, and I move approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1518 accepts a grant from the Institute of Museum and Library Sciences to the Nashville Public Library to provide public service through innovative programs and active partnerships that address the changing needs of the community. Councilmember Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Barry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Maynard.
Parks and Libraries approved 5-4-0 against, and I move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. And somehow the lights in the back of the gallery got turned off. Motion passes. RS 2011-1519 authorizes the execution of a notice of limitation of use pursuant to a state grant to the Friends of Beeman Park to construct walking trails in Beeman Park. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilman Barry.
Budget and Finance have voted to approve 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Maynard.
Parks and Libraries approved 5-4-0 against. I move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1520 approves an intergovernmental agreement between the Metro Board of Parks and Recreation and the State Department of Transportation for the implementation of the Warner Park Trails Linkage Improvement Project. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilmember Barry.
Budget and Finance voted to approve 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Maynard.
Thank you. Parks and Library approved 5-4-0 against, and with that, I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1521 authorizes an agreement between Metro Government and the State of Tennessee for the repair of the manhole S4A. Councilmember Barry.
Committee reports, please.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 6-4-0 against.
Councilmember Barry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against. And I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. RS 2011-1522 authorizes St. Cloud Development Company, LLC, to install, construct, and maintain aerial encroachments at 500 Church Street at Puckett's Grocery Store. Councilman Jameson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against.
Councilmember Hodge.
Public Works approved 2-4-0 against.
Councilman Jameson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now at bills on first reading. Councilman Hodge, did you wish to speak? Okay. Councilmember Duvall.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I'd like to pull out Bill 2011-838, please. And we're going to vote on it. I'd like to have a machine vote.
Okay. I'm sorry, what did you say, Councilman?
I would request that we vote on it with a machine vote, please.
Thank you. Councilman Mitchell?
Yeah, I'd like to request we pull all the bills on first reading.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, first we have Bill 2011-832. It's an ordinance authorizing Bristol Development Group to install, construct, and maintain an underground encroachment for property located at 1700 State Street. Councilmember Gilmore. Just move approval.
Move approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of 2011-832 on first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. 2011-833, an ordinance naming the auditorium at the Howard Office Building in honor of Sonny West. Councilmember Tiger.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of Bill 2011-833 on first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-834, an ordinance amending chapters 2.128, 4.2, and 11.24 of the Metropolitan Code pertaining to the prospecting and the preservation of historic sites and artifacts around metropolitan government. Councilman Forcom.
I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of 834 on first reading, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-835, an ordinance amending section 6.74.025 of the Metropolitan Code to eliminate the minimum charge for livery services. Councilman Crafton.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of 835 on first reading, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-836, an ordinance amending section 10.56.24 of the Metropolitan Code to exempt certain newer vehicles from the emissions testing requirement. Councilman Ryman.
Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-837, an ordinance requiring the Board of Fair Commissioners to issue a request for proposals for the privatization and continued operation of fairgrounds functions. Councilman Crafton.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of 837 on first reading, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-838. An ordinance amending Chapter 4.28 of the Metropolitan Code to prohibit metropolitan government contracts from discriminating on the basis of sexual orientation or gender identity through their employment practices. Councilman Jameson.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. Need a machine vote. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Foster. We're not ready to vote.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I guess we're still in debate, right? Okay. I just wanted to announce I'm going to be abstaining, and the reason I'm abstaining now and in all consideration of this bill, the company that I work for, that I represent, is a Metro vendor and would be subject to this. And while it does have a non-discrimination policy in place that I think is fairly congruent with this, I don't know precisely, but there is a difference between that which is adopted of its own volition and that which is imposed. So I think there is a conflict, so I'll be abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you, and you had notified me of that, and I apologize. We're back on the original motion for approval of 838, and we're having a machine vote. Councilman Garrett?
Well, if you'll recognize me after the vote, I'll be glad to.
Has everyone voted? Madam Clerk?
Ayes 22, noes 13, 2 abstentions.
838 passes on first reading. Councilman Garrett?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lady, I just tried to say, I want to remind those that no matter how you vote, when you vote on first reading, unless it's a bill to put the landing craft or to buy the London Bridge, in all the years that most of us have been here, everything passes on first reading, regardless of how controversial it is. So those people that have called me and others, I just remind those folks that most everything passes on first reading.
Councilman Holland?
Vice Mayor, thank you. I would like to ask what would need to take place. Let's put all first reading bills on the machine.
You have to have 5 people on each bill requested.
I'm talking about for the remainder of the first bills, first reading on the agenda.
And if we get 5 requests on each one, we'll do it. BL 2011-839, an ordinance abandoning an all-public utility easement in connection with Project 10WL61 and 10SL133 Brighton Road and Project number 10SL165 on sewer on the MBA campus, shown on map 10316, parcels 52, 66, and 29, and authorizing the execution of documents to carry out the said transaction. Councilman Holland.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second, or there's 5 hands that want a machine vote? No, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Bring it.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2011-840, an ordinance to amend the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map for the metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County by abandoning a portion of alley number 1863. Councilmember Page. Councilmember Holloman.
I move approval on behalf of Council Lady Page.
Have a motion and a second.
Councilman, I think the motion is to approve and to re-refer to the Planning Commission. Is that?
Well, my understanding was that we were going to do that, but I guess now that we're on first, that's fine. I'll just move approval and ask that we re-refer to the Planning Commission.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Bill 2011-841, an ordinance to amend the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map for the metropolitan government of Nashville and Davidson County by abandoning a portion of 28th Avenue North right-of-way. Councilmember Langster.
Move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of 841 on first reading, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're now bills on second reading. BL 2010-806 amends the Metro Code relative to economic and community development incentive grants. Councilmember Berry.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. There is an amendment to this, and I'd like to. Okay, committee report. We approved as substituted, 11-4-0 against. I'd like to move the substitute.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman Jameson.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I just need to be recorded as abstaining.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the substitute? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Substitute passes. Council member.
We are back on the original bill, and I ask for the council to move as substituted.
Have a motion to approve as substituted and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
No.
So noted. Thank you. BL 2010-808 amends the Metro Code to allow members of the Metropolitan Council to act as a non-compensated representative for constituents before metropolitan government departments, agencies, boards, and commissions. Councilmember Wilhoit.
Thank you. At this, I'm asking for one meeting deferral, please.
Councilman Adkins, committee report.
The committee approved the deferral 10-4, none against.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilhoit.
I apologize. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I asked for one meeting deferral, please. And also, Vice Mayor, I just want to say to the council members, please take a look at this piece of legislation. I need to hear from you. I asked in the last committee meeting to hear from council members regarding their concerns on this particular bill and ask for any questions that needs to be clarified. I'm very serious about getting this passed, and I hope I can have your support at the end of the day. Once again, I ask for your approval for one meeting deferral. Thank you.
Councilman Crafton, you wish to speak on the one meeting deferral?
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to ask Mr. Cooper a quick question. And I support Council Lady Wilhoit on this, but as far as I'm concerned, if a constituent calls me to go with them down to the Planning Commission, Board of Zoning Appeals, School Board, it's perfectly within my right to do so.
That's correct. You can attend any public meeting. The question with the law that Ms. Wilhoit is dealing with is when you're acting in a representative capacity. So if you're acting on behalf of someone before a department or board or commission, that's different from being in attendance, which is permitted.
I'm not talking about being in attendance. I'm talking about if somebody in my district wants me to go and help them in front of the Board of Zoning Appeals or the Board of Education, like we did with the custodians and bus drivers, representing those folks, I feel like it's perfectly within my realm of responsibility and reasonable for me to do so, should I so choose.
That's correct.
And who's going to challenge me?
Well, I mean, you know.
I'm sorry. Right now, the motion is on the one meeting deferral. Is there any more discussion on a one meeting deferral?
Well, I guess not.
All in favor of the one meeting deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. One meeting deferral passes. Bill 2010-809 amends the Metro Code to require the police department to provide an honor guard and/or police escort for funerals of retired and active police officers at the request of the officer's family. Councilman Gatto.
Committee report.
Councilmember Langston.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. At the sponsor's request, we move to defer indefinitely, 6-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilman Gatto.
Move to defer indefinitely with a very brief explanation.
We have a motion and a second on indefinite deferral. Councilman Gatto.
I was contacted by the FOP. They are in favor of this, but they do have a couple of issues, and we didn't have time to meet on it before the committee and the meeting tonight, so that's the reason for the indefinite deferral. Thank you.
All in favor of indefinite deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Indefinite deferral passes. BL 2010-811 amends the Metro Code to prohibit the use of personal sound amplification equipment on public rights-of-way within the downtown Nashville. Councilman Jameson.
Committee reports.
Councilmember Lancaster.
Thank you. At the sponsor's request, one meeting deferral, 6-4-0 against.
Councilmember Wilhoit.
Yes, thank you. The committee voted 4-0 to defer this.
Councilman Jameson.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Metro Legal is still working on the language on this, and for that purpose, we require that one meeting deferral. So with that, I'd move for the deferral.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the one meeting deferral, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-821 amends the Metro Code to increase the annual filing fee for the registration of lobbyists. Councilman Holland.
Committee report.
Councilmember Berry.
A Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilmember Adkins.
Rules and Confirmations approved 8-4, none against.
Councilman Holland.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-822 amends the Metro Code to prohibit persons serving on Metro government boards or commissions from engaging in lobbying activities. Councilman Holland.
Committee report.
Councilman Adkins.
The Rules and Confirmations Committee deferred 8-4, none against to the second meeting in March.
Sorry, Councilman Holland.
Move to defer to the second meeting in March.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-824 amends the ordinance number BL 2010-689 to extend the deadline for the waiver of certain permit fees when obtaining a permit for repairing or rebuilding property damaged as a result of the May 2010 flooding. Councilmember Wilhoit.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I believe you meant 2010-824?
I probably did.
It's getting better. Committee report 7-0 for inapproval.
Councilmember Berry.
A Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilmember Wilhoit.
I move for approval.
Did you give the codes report and I missed it?
I did. 7-0.
Okay, and I got the Budget and Finance, and we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-825 amends the Metro Code to provide for free parking for vehicle owners that purchase carbon offsets. Councilman Tigert.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Committee reports.
Councilman Birch.
Traffic and Parking voted to defer 2 meetings, 5-4-0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
And Budget and Finance, at the request of the sponsor, voted to defer 2 meetings, 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Tigert.
Move to defer 2 meetings.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the 2 meeting deferral, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-826 readopts the Metro Code to include supplemental and replacement pages containing ordinance enacted on or before August 17, 2010. Councilman Adkins.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. The Rules and Confirmations Committee approved 8-4, none against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-828 authorizes the acquisition of properties or easements by negotiation or condemnation on Ashland City Highway and East Stewart's Lane for the Whites Creek Waterways Pumping Station Improvement Project. Councilmember Hodge.
Move approval. Committee reports.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against.
Councilmember Berry.
Budget and Finance approved 11-4-0 against.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 2-4-0 against. Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-829 adopts the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map for the Metropolitan Government. Councilman Gatto.
Committee reports.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 3-4-0 against.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against, and I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-830 amends the official street and acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning an unnamed right-of-way. Councilman Todd.
Committee reports.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Birch.
Traffic and Parking voted to approve 5-4-0 against.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 5-4-0 against.
Councilman Todd.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Councilman Holloman, are you handling the next one?
Yes,
BL
ma'am.
2010-831 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 1916 and an unnumbered alley. Councilmember Holloman.
Move approval.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Birch.
Traffic and Parking voted to defer 2 meetings, 5-4-0 against.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works approved 4 in favor, 0 against.
Councilman Birch. Councilman Holloman.
I'm going to move approval. That was the instructions that I was given, so.
Councilman Birch.
Don't make Anna mad.
I'll just relay the discussion that was in the committee meeting because Councilor Page was ill, is that Councilor Evans was taking it for her and she was instructed to defer 2 meetings. So that's just that's what took place in the committee meeting.
Okay, Councilman Holloman, what is your motion?
I'm going to move approval, and I assume she can defer it on 3rd reading if she needs to.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-754 amends the Metro Code pertaining to cosmetology and barbershops as a home occupation accessory use in residential districts. Councilman Stanley.
Committee report.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning, since this has not been before the Planning Commission yet, and at the request of the sponsor, voted to defer 1 meeting by a vote of 8-4-0 against.
Thank you. Councilman Stanley.
Make a motion to defer until the first meeting in February.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the deferral, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-772 changes 65.49 acres from R40 to AR2A zoning for various properties located at 7739 Charlotte Pike and at Charlotte Pike unnumbered west of Sawyer Brown Road. Councilman Crafton.
Committee report.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning voted to approve as amended, 8-4-0 against.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Mitchell.
Councilman Crafton, I've just had a lot of people out of my way asking, do you know what the intention of this property owner is?
The intention is to downzone the property from R40 down to AR2A. The amendment was simply to restrict the use of mobile homes, which in my opinion couldn't be done on that property anyway because it's too hilly. I grew up adjacent to this property, and I don't see any problem with downzoning at this point. Anything that needs to be done in the future would have to be brought before the council in the form of a specific plan or another zone change.
Any dumping?
The property is already licensed to dump dirt and material, so it would be no change from that existing use.
Councilman Crafton, could I get you to move the amendment first?
Sure, move approval of the amendment.
Have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The amendment passes. Councilman Crafton.
Move approval as amended.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The bill as amended passes. BL 2010-784 amends the Metro Code to provide for the conditional relocation of non-conforming uses. Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Move to defer indefinitely.
Have a motion and a second on indefinite deferral. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilman Baker, are you handling this one? Yes, ma'am. BL 2010-795 accepts a contribution in the amount not to exceed $200,000 from the Parks Companies, Inc. for traffic calming and beautification projects in the Annex Avenue and Hillwood neighborhoods to the Department of Public Works. Councilman Baker.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-796 approves an agreement by and between the Department of Public Works and CCBC Operations LLC for the purpose of promoting recycling and environmental awareness through a Recycle and Win program. Councilmember Berry.
All committee reports are in. Move approval.
Is there an amendment?
Apparently there's an amendment, so I would like to move the amendment.
It would require, is there any objection to a suspension of the rules to consider an amendment on third reading? Seeing none, Councilmember Berry.
I would like to move the amendment.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor of the amendment, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes.
I'd like to offer up the original bill as amended for approval.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of the bill as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-798 amends the Metro Code to add a definition for tri-face billboards and to exempt tri-face billboards from the distance requirements applicable to electronic signs. Councilman Crafton.
Committee report.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and zoning approved, 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Crafton.
Having approved by all committees in the Planning Commission, I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-799 amends 229.35 acres of the downtown Donaldson Urban Design Overlay District to revise signage standards for properties located on Lebanon Pike from Briley Parkway to Stewart's Ferry Pike and an Old Lebanon Pike, J.B. Estelle Drive, Donaldson Pike, Fairway Drive, McGavick Pike, Crump Drive, Park Drive, Grayland Drive, and Cliffdale Drive and Benson Road. Councilman Claiborne.
Committee reports, please.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and zoning approved, 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Claiborne.
With committee approval and planning commission approval, I move that the bill be approved.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-800 changes 1.37 acres from CS to SP zoning for properties located at 2400, 2402, and 2404 West End Avenue to permit the development of a structure containing hotel, retail, and restaurant uses with underground parking. Councilmember Langster.
Haven't been approved by all committees in the...
Not yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and zoning approved, 8-4-0 against.
Thank you, Councilmember Langster.
Now, having been approved by all committees, I would like to ask for...
Do we have an amendment?
Sorry about that. We do have an amendment. Ms. Cooper.
The amendment adds some conditions that Public Works wanted regarding the development.
Move for approval on the amendment.
We have a motion and a second on the amendment. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Amendment passes. Councilmember Langster.
I renew my motion amended, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-801.
I'm just going to handle both these, 801 and 802.
Cancels .87 acres of the Harding Place Condos Residential Plan Unit Development located at 112 Harding Place, zone multifamily residential and within the floodplain overlay district, approved for 14 condominium units. If there's no objection, we can take 802 with this one. Seeing none, BL 2010-802 changes .87 acres from RM40 to SP to construct 60 parking spaces for Harding Academy on property located at 112 Harding Place. Councilman Crafton.
Committee report.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and zoning approved both bills 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Crafton.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Council Lady Evans has worked extremely diligently on this, and I just ask for the council's approval on our bill.
We have a motion and a second on 801 and 802. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-803 changes 10.65 acres from RM9 to SP zoning for property located at Old Hickory Boulevard unnumbered, north of Central Pike, to permit a mixture of commercial and/or medical uses along with a possible assisted living facility and active learning, senior learning. Councilman Gatto.
At my request, Planning and Zoning Committee moved to defer one meeting and re-refer to the Planning Commission for the for their January 27th, 2011 meeting by a vote of 8-4-0 against, and I move to defer one meeting and re-refer this to Planning for their January 27th meeting.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes.
I think I got it right.
BL 2010-804 changes 2.25 acres from CL to SP zoning for property located at 1503 Dickerson Pike to permit all uses permitted by RM60 zoning. Councilman Holland.
Committee report.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved 8-4-0 against.
Councilman Holland.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no.
MDHA.
Motion passes. BL 2010-805 amends 65.1 acres of the previously approved Starwood Commons Specific Plan District for property located at 3839 Murfreesboro Pike to allow all previously approved uses associated with the Starwood Amphitheater to be temporarily permitted. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Gatto.
Planning and Zoning approved by a vote of 7-4-0 against, and Councilman Coleman did request to abstain on this. So it was 7 with 1 abstention.
Thank you. Councilman Maynard.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I would like to move for a deferment for one meeting with a brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilman.
Councilman Coleman has been working extremely hard regarding involving the community, hearing from the constituents. We would like to take just one more meeting in order to hear from the constituents, make sure that they understand what is happening at the Starwood property. And with that, I just again renew my motion for a deferral for one meeting.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. The deferral passes.
Pretty good as a district council.
BL 2010-810 amends the Metro Code to require lobbyists to file a notice of withdrawal upon the termination of lobbying services. Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committees having reported, move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-812 names the Metropolitan Council Chamber in honor of David Scobie. Councilman Tiger.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Bill 2010-813 approves the construction agreement between CSX Transportation, Inc. Councilman Holland.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. All committees having reported, move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Bill 2010-814 approves an agreement between Vanderbilt University and the Department of Water and Sewage Services for the installation and access to wind and solar power generating facilities on Love Circle Reservoir property in Davidson County. Councilmember Lalone.
With all committee reports in, I move approval, please.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-815 authorizes the acquisition of property or easements by negotiation or condemnation for the use in public projects of metropolitan government with relation to the project on Pierce Road. Councilman Forcom.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I think all committees approved. I move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Councilmember Berry, are you handling the next one?
Yes, I am.
BL 2010-816 authorizes the acquisition of easements by negotiation or condemnation for the purpose of construction, operation, maintenance, repair, replacement, and inspection of a proposed stream bank stabilization project on the Cumberland River adjacent to the Waterford subdivision. Councilmember Berry.
With all committee reports in, I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-817 names the bridge on Old Harding Pike over the Harpeth River in honor and memory of Joseph and Bessie Formosa and Mary Jane McCormack. Councilman Tigert.
Move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-818 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of alley number 2007. Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Committee reports, please.
Councilman Hodge.
Public Works deferred by rule.
Councilman Birch.
Traffic and parking deferred by rule.
Councilman Harrison.
Well, I'd like to ask that the council vote as a whole, committee as a whole, if I could.
Is there any objection? Council member?
If that being the case, then I'd like to move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. BL 2010-819 amends the official street and alley acceptance and maintenance map by abandoning a portion of Lakehurst Drive. Councilman Jameson.
All committees having reported approval, I move approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. As 2011-1523 requests the Davidson County delegation to take a lead role in assisting and encouraging Governor Bill Haslam, Mayor Carl Dean, and the Tennessee State Fair Association to identify a suitable site in Davidson County for the Tennessee State Fair and to develop a sustainable funding mechanism for the operation of the Tennessee State Fair and Associated Exposition Center. Councilman Claiborne.
Committee report, please.
Councilmember Wilhoit.
Excuse me, Vice Mayor. Council lady left me her information. I'd like to move to the Hill, please, so I can pull this vote that we're at the Hill? Okay. I don't see her information.
I think we have the committee report up here, Council member. Do you have it now?
2 for, 2 against, no extensions.
Thank you, Councilman Claiborne.
Thank you. Move for approval.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We're going to have a machine vote. You just couldn't. Madam Clerk.
Okay. Ayes 27, noes 2, 2 abstentions.
Motion passes. S 2011-1524 requests the Metro Board of Health to create a food policy council. Councilmember Gilmore.
Committee reports.
Councilman Forkham.
Health Hospital is deferred by rule.
Councilmember Gilmore.
I would like to ask for a suspension of the rules.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, Councilmember Gilmore.
I would like to ask the body to vote as a whole.
But there was no objection.
Okay, good. I would like to move for approval with a brief explanation.
Have a motion and a second. Councilmember.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to quickly that the Food Policy Council is very important to the District 19. Out of all of the food deserts, we have 2, which is in North Nashville and Edge Hill. I look forward to working with the mayor on this initiative and hope that we can resolve the issues of lack of grocery stores within the community because it's very important to the health of the 19th District. Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Before everybody slips out, I just want to thank everyone for the civility we've had this evening and for everybody hanging in here to the end. Thank you very much. Is there a motion to adjourn?
A toast to civility.